Is it time to sell high on Tyler Mahle and Brendan Donovan? I'll tell you that and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane. You can find me on X at Matthew_Ane. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast feed, leave us a 5-star rating and review. We'd love to hear what you guys think of the show. And if you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast, check us out on Subtext and become a member of the Diamond Club. You get a free 2 weeks. You're able to ask us questions. You're going to get alerts, all this wonderful stuff that you can just going to miss out on in this 30-minute podcast. So let's get in it. Let's dive in. Obviously, today's episode is buy low, sell high, as you can see on the screen, as I kind of hinted to in the cold open. You know, it's time to buy in and kind of take advantage of people tilting. This is tilting season, and this is the most tilt you're going to get all season long, and it's the perfect time to capitalize on this value. All right, so I got high-end names, I got low-end names, and I got some risky names all throughout this, and I'll kind of level it out and kind of spell out, who am I trying to target? Is it risky? Is it not risky? And we'll just kind of, let you know my thought process going into trades and things like that. So let's dive in. And this first name is a pretty big one. It's a pretty hefty name. It's Mookie Betts of the Dodgers. And look, Mookie is a great talent. I honestly don't think that how he's performing is the story. Like, this season is just a story of, hey, I'm starting off slow. He's only had 74 at bats, 13 runs, 2 doubles, 4 bombs, 10 ribs, 2 stolen bases, and batting at 243. Now, it's not ugly. It's not all pretty. Am I going to be able to go in and capitalize on, buying him for pennies on the dollar? Absolutely not. But I think he's actually obtainable, because if Mookie was performing like Mookie, he wouldn't even be on the show, because he wouldn't be a guy that somebody would be looking to move. Maybe the only time that he would be movable, at least, or obtainable, is in like dynasty leagues or keeper leagues where, you have a team that has Mookie Betts that's past their time and doesn't have an opportunity to win. But in these redraft leagues, you're not getting him in most years. But this year, I think he is obtainable. I think he actually is a guy that you can trade for and not have to give up 3/4 of your team to go out and get him. And that's the key here. Now, I have guys later that will probably have to be included in the team, into the trade, that might, be the difference of, okay, does he do it or not, but aren't going to be the key factor in the trade. So when you're trying to trade for Mookie, you want to offer, I would say, a 3rd or 4th round pick kind of player, and then an overperforming player that, like, somebody we're mentioning later, or possibly 2. That is really just how it's going to have to go. And it still might not even be enough, if I'm really being honest. Somebody probably has a thought process like me. Hey, look, the only reason you're coming to me is because you're trying to buy in before he's unobtainable. So let's just see where things go. Throw the offers out there. If you have any questions, hit me up on Subtext, and we can kind of go over trades are kind of like, team specific and lead specific. So I can kind of give you a better trade aspect there. Cause, like, you may think, oh, I'm offering so much, but why aren't they accepting? Well, it's because you might not be the right trade partner, even though you're giving up the right price tag. And that's the key part too. So check us out on Subtext. Let's move on. Let's talk about Yordan Alvarez of the Houston Astros, another guy that's truly having a slow start. He's another guy, obviously, I don't think, the story is really being told of who he is. He's only 28 years old, and he's been an absolute stud his whole career. 71 at bats, 4 runs, 3 doubles, 2 bombs, 12 ribs, a stolen base, batting 211. Now, it's not like he's striking out the wazoo where, he has, like, a million strikeouts to, like, no walks. No, he has 13 walks to 17 strikeouts. That's great. It's just not translating in the BA category. OPS isn't atrocious. It's still bad, but it's a 656, so it's not horrendous. And all the underlying stats say that Yordan Alvarez isn't really performing as to what's on the stat sheet. His ex-WOBA is sitting at 376, expecting batting average is actually 269. His expected slug is 516. His average exit velocity is incredible right now at 94.2 miles an hour. He's barreling 12% of the time, creating hard contact 44.8% of the time. And the only thing I would like to see a little bit better is him chase left, but at least is not leading into whiffs and strikeouts, and he's actually walking. So these are all great things that I think, hey, he's a sleeping giant waiting to wake up, and he can pop at any moment. At any moment. So when it comes to Yordan Alvarez, I'm going to try and throw the kitchen sink at it. Again, he's another guy, not as expensive as Mookie Betts, a guy that has an injury tag to him at times, and he will be cheaper, but you're still going to have to give up some stuff to get him. But it's not going to be as atrocious. Like I definitely would be trying to mix in two of the guys that is going to be later in the show, and then with a stud from third or fourth, fifth round that is overperforming in your opinion that you have on your team. And you know what? You're going to upgrade your outfield no matter what by getting Yordan Alvarez. So quite honestly, even if you have to give up a third round pick for Yordan, I'm not mad at it as long as you can, back it up. He's going to be a massive upgrade to whatever you have because quite honestly, he was teetering first round talent and he was definitely high end second round pick. So Yordan Alvarez, you cannot, try and pass up on. Honestly, I'm going out and I'm trying to acquire him in every single league that's out there right now. So Yordan Alvarez, go out there, make the offers, see what sticks. You really should try and obtain him because acquiring him now could be the difference of, finishing in third and winning the whole thing. So try it. Let's move on. Let's talk about Jared Duran, of those Sox, man. I wasn't really a fan of him going into the season, and not because of the talent I didn't think was there. It was more because of the draft price. He was being way overdrafted and he's having a start as he is. And this is the part two. I'd rather go out and try to obtain him than go out and draft him because the draft price is going to hurt more. And I kind of go with guys that I think I know are going to hit right off the bat and kind of then go from there. Look, is last year repeatable? Yes. Is he going to be the super value where he was going as a top 12 outfielder? No, I think there's other names out there that are going to push him outside of the top 12. And honestly, too, we could see where it's going right now. I mean, he's starting off real slow. 99 at bats, 10 runs, 5 doubles, a triple, a bomb, 11 ribs, 6 stolen bases, and batting 232. So, like, if you times it by 5, he has right on pace with stolen bases from last year, which is great. Home run pace, not as great. Maybe he finishes with 17 instead of 21. Ribbies are never going to be really there, but the runs probably should be already 10 through that small stint. So I definitely want to go out and try and obtain him stolen base edge, batting average edge, even though he's not performing at batting average right now. And I think that, the talent is obviously still there. He's still 28 years old. And it's time to really just go out there and acquire him on the cheap. Somebody's probably kicking themselves, whether they're a listener of the show or they're, just like, oh, I knew it. He's only really done it. This like last year was his first true year that he really had that breakout, candidate year where you can say, okay, where he hit a monstrous amount of things and really was a true contributor for fantasy baseball. So, the age 27 breakout wasn't really real. Well, there was a trend going in that direction, which makes me want to buy in. So, there's a lot of question marks, I guess, where I'm going with the owner, and they're probably regretting their decision a little bit. Even the underlying stats aren't as great. The ex-WOB is at 306. The expected batting average is 246, which is definitely better than what he's posting, but still not great. Expected slug is 387. The average exit velocity is good at 92.1 miles an hour, barreling about 10% of the time. Hard contact 46.8% of the time. He's just chasing and striking out, and those are the things that are leading just to bad BA and the underperformance. Once he gets that figured out, that's all going to change. Once that get right happens, he's going to be a lot better. He's always been a guy that's chased. He's always been a guy that struck out and whatnot and didn't really walk. But he did all the other things like making contact on the ball and creating hard contact and doing all the right things like last year that led to the stat lines that he did. So I'm going out and I'm trying to acquire him. I think that this is the perfect buying time. People are regretting their choice. It's buyer's remorse. It's your turn to step in there and be their savior, air quotes, and upgrade your outfield. Like, this is the key part. It's just upgrading, right? You buy the dip and you kind of just say, okay, cool. Let me go out and acquire. I think that quite honestly, You could take two of these guys and might even be able two of the guys later and go out there and acquire him because people I think are really hurting unless you got a true believer. Oh my God, Duran, he's going to be fine. Then they know what I know and they know he's going to be fine. And then you're beat. But I think in a lot of leagues where guys are tilting pretty heavily, it's the perfect time to take advantage. Do it now before it is too late. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about two pitchers, Framber Valdez and Aaron Nola. Is it a risky pick? Is it a risky ad? Things like that. And what are the arguments to go out and get it? Because trading is much more than just going out there and just saying, hey, here's an offer. No, it's a whole conversation. And how could we get that done? Coming up next. Get the supplies you need from the site that made for skilled traders, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get your job done right. Plus, the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 plus brands. You'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House Expert supports industry leading service so that you'll always talk to a real person every time. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, try the free Trade Master program offering exclusive perks like dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now is your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. And all right, look, you need a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast. I'm sure we're not your only, but I'm sure we're your best. And you need to know how the hell to navigate the waiver wire. How should I accept this trade? Or should I offer this trade? Am I getting robbed here? All that wonderful stuff. And can I get those prospect call ups before everybody else? You're going to want to check out the subtext, become a member of the Diamond Club. Links in the description below. I promise you're not going to want to miss out. Let's get back into it. All right. Let's talk about my boy Framber Valdez. Now, he's an interesting one. He's had a few bad starts and a few good starts. But the key is watching the tilt. And look, this time of the year, I keep saying it over and over again, but I can't, say it enough. The tilt is real. People are going to look at his season rankings. They're going to look at the total season numbers versus the last couple starts and be like, oh my God, he sucks, etc. And there's a case to talk about it and try and acquire him. Look, first start was great against the Mets, but 7 innings and 4 Ks, no earned runs, obviously. Then got lit up against San Francisco at a 9 ERA through 5, but 9 Ks. Then Seattle had a really good start, but then St. Louis lit him up for 15.75 ERA. Then he goes out against San Diego, 6 innings, and only 2 Ks to go with it, with a 3 ERA, which isn't atrocious, but a 1.67 WHIP. So the owners right now are definitely frustrated with Valdez and with owning him, and that is the part where you can take advantage. You're going to have to give up decent amount of stuff to get him, but you're not going to be giving up a haul, and that's the key, right? You can mix a guy later, Tyler Mahle, who's overperforming out the wazoo, and a steady name that is kind of performing but not living up to expectation that you may not be the most comfortable with, but you ended up with him on your team. Those are the kind of trades you want to go and do. Send it over for Valdez. Talk to the guy, be like, yo, what do you want for Valdez? How can we do this, right? I'm looking to move this guy and this guy. What are you thinking? Is this enough, et cetera? Look at the things that were leading. Look at those last couple spots. Then you look at the under the hood. And if the people you're trading with aren't like advanced stat nerds like I am, then they're not going to realize that this is Valdez's profile, where the fastball velocity still sits at 95 miles an hour, even though it's still rated blue. The expected ERA is a 4.23. The expected batting average is a 2.78. He doesn't really get guys to chase at 29% of the time. The whiffing's only about 22.9% of the time. Only strikes out about 20% of the time, et cetera, right? That's this year. And you go to 2024, and there's not much of a difference except for the expected batting average being nice. Average exit velocity is always high. Fastball velocity is about the same. Maybe he gets a few more whiffs, but he doesn't really get guys to chase. He doesn't really produce the strikeouts, and he walks guys a little too often. So the thing is, like, he isn't a guy that really just like is, oh my God, wow, look at under the hood, and wow, he's super impressive, and you can understand why he's kind of the exception to the rule. So if they're not somebody that is understanding the advanced stats and what all this means, and they're not going to understand the success, which means that then therefore you already know, hey, look, Valdez is going to be just fine. This is just what he does. This is how the advanced stats kind of look. And if anything has changed, it's great. Nothing has changed. So we know that there's going to be a positive regression coming soon. Let me acquire him. So you can kind of sell it in that way. And then you can offer guys like, a Tyler Mahle or, another guy later that you can kind of see if you can acquire. I don't think you need to give up super studs to get Valdez right now, since he's been so inconsistent, air quotes. There's going to be a point where he's just an absolute stud. So go out there and try and, take advantage of your league mates. He's going to be one that's going to be harder to get as well. But I think he's obtainable, and I think that he's not going to cost you as much as you would think. So make the shot. Look, the only way you're going to score is if you shoot, and your shooter's got to shoot. And that's what you have to do in these scenarios. So shoot your shot and see what happens. Now, this next one is super risky. And that's Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola has not really been living up to the Aaron Nola-ness, right? Let's talk about it. Aaron Nola's fastball velocity sitting at 89.8 miles an hour, which the year before was sitting at 92. So it's down 2.3 miles per hour. Okay. He has an expected batting average of 281. His expected ERA is at 469. But he is getting guys to chase at like 32% of the time. Still creating whiffs at 27.1% of the time. Creating strikeouts 24.6% of the time. But he's giving up hard contact. He's allowing guys to barrel, but producing ground balls and getting great extension. Now, in comparison to last year, some of these things have changed. Some of these not. Obviously, the fastball velocity is key. But the chase is similar. The amount of whiffs are similar, Ks, etc. But he's, he was better with walks than he is this year. Now, the issue with Nola is, look, it's not like he had knock your socks off kind of like lights out fastball power. No, the difference is there's not much of a difference between his fastball's velocity and his slider's velocity and his curveball velocity. So they're all like, okay, I'm used to the speed and they can get hit. And sometimes he's leaving up meatballs and things like that and giving up home runs. So this is why I'm saying it's risky. But here's the thing. You try and buy real cheap. You don't give up much, but you take this shot. You try and give up a guy you got off the waiver wire and see if you can help them out, air quotes, and take them off their team. And then if you're successful, and he bounces back, your gold. If not, you're dropping him in a month and you don't really care because you gave up a couple waiver wire guys for him. That's what all I'm looking to throw out there for him. But guys that are overperforming, not, you can't just throw out like, I don't know, let's think of a name, like the Cutter Crawfords or, somebody like that's bottom of the barrel horrendous that you picked off waivers that's like 2% owned. No, you got to trade a guy that's overperforming and see if you can take advantage and see if you can take a scratch off on one of these guys. Now, the earlier guys are definitely, higher probability of hitting, but Aaron Nola is a very volatile ending, a very volatile finish. But I want to take the bet. I want to take the shot, and I want to acquire him and see if, okay, can we get the bounce back? And if he bounces back, you've just upgraded your rotation beyond belief. And now you're going to go into the playoff season looking like a real stud and real genius as well because you acquired him early. So again, high risk, high reward kind of type situation, but I'm going out there and I'm going to put it on the line and I'm going to see if I can go and acquire Aaron Nola without a doubt because I want to bank on the guy that's been doing it forever, got the 7-year contract and all that wonderful stuff. And I just don't think that he just fell off a cliff this way. That's just my expectation. A guy that's 31 years old isn't incredibly young. I mean, isn't incredibly old for a pitcher. Just feel like, okay, cool. It's not over yet. I think that adjustments need to be made. They're going to do it. Phillies work with AI a lot to adjust, pitching progress and, release, stance, etc. And once that gets corrected, I think we're going to see something. So just go out there and try to acquire them on the real cheap. I think it's doable. So let's move on. Coming up next, we're going to move into our sell high kind of guys. Guys, I think that you probably could move and got names that I think I might get some flack for. But at the same time, I'm usually right every time about these guys. So it's time to sell high. And that's all coming up next. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into our good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shell variety, which I truly do. It's perfect grab and go snack for a busy day, whether I'm snacking at my desk on a road trip or just need a quick protein boost. They're always good to go. And I have kids, so you can never really factor in when you're going to be able to eat. It's kind of like survival of the fittest here. So I love having them around me. And if I feel like, just hearing that cracking open every shell and then hear that satisfying crunch, the in shell option is just a classic favorite, which it truly is. Have a beer, crack some pistachios, eat them. It's great, right? Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right. Let's hop back in this. Let's see what we can do here. Let's finish up the show strong. We're going to talk about Tyler Mahle. I'm kind of hinting him at the early parts of the season, the episode, but what he's doing right now is absolutely not sustainable. Let's just be honest here. You know, there's other guys in the industry saying the same thing. Chris Towers is one of the loudest names about it, and I'm right there with him, honestly. 26 innings pitched, and he has 25 strikeouts with a 0.68 ERA with a 0.82 WHIP. No, this is not sustainable. Even his FIP is saying a 2.52, which is still bonkers, but I'm still not buying into that. His expected ERA is more like a 2.81, and again, it's still not there. Look, his fastball velocity is not like knock your socks off. It's 91.9 miles an hour. His average exit velocity is at 88.2 miles an hour. A little bit more, and he starts going in the blue. He doesn't get guys to chase. Yes, he's creating whiffs at 27.9% of the time and striking out guys 24% of the time. But it's, not really been his thing. And if you go back to, let's say 23, he's had success, but he's never been a strikeout guy. The whip was only 24% of the time. But he did create strikeouts about 27% of the time, but I'm still not buying in. He's never been the super elite talent that we're seeing right now. He's always just been really decent. And he also can't stay healthy either. He's kind of another guy that will end up on the IL once we start seeing good stuff out of him. So look, he's a guy that also just leans on that fastball like crazy. Throws it 53.3% of the time. And then the split finger follows it at 27% of the time. He really only mixes in those two pitches, slider here and there. But I don't see him being successful with this pitch mix. When you're leaning on two pitches like that heavily, eventually they're just going to sit and make him throw something else, and that's when he's going to get pummeled. So look, I'm moving him now. That's really just where I'm at with Tyler Mahle. I think that we can move him. I think he's going to be a nice name that we move and we put him towards like a Framber Valdez or, an Aaron Nola, or even you get him mixed in with the Mookie Betts and Yordan trades if the guy needs some pitching and you say, hey, look what this guy's doing. He's really performing. And then boom, you upgraded your roster. That's the whole point. So Tyler Mahle is a guy that I'm definitely trying to move because I don't believe in the finish. He's gonna finish how he started essentially. So Tyler Mahle is a must move for me. Let's move on. Talk about Stephen Kwan. I'm about to get a whole bunch of flack for this, but I don't even care. Stephen Kwan is overperforming, and it's just outrageous right now. And this is the perfect time to capitalize. 87 at bats, 16 runs, 3 doubles, 4 bombs, 14 ribs, 3 bases, batting 333. Batting average is totally believable. This is what he does. Last year he hit 292, 268, 298. That I always wholeheartedly believe. Ribbies are never going to be there. Stolen bases have a 20 upside cap. Home runs max if he hits 15 like he did last year. And runs are really just the key part. But, you're looking at a guy and he's very similar to Jared Duran with less pop and less stolen base upside. And that's really where it's at. I'd rather move Kwan for Jared Duran, obviously, and something, because you're not just going to get that, right? And people love the name Kwan. Like, I don't know what the thing is about Stephen Kwan, but everybody loves him in fantasy baseball. And I might be the only psychopath that doesn't like him, but I'm just not a fan. I don't think he contributes enough to my total output for me to have him on my team. So, look, he is widely owned. I think he's over 88% owned. And he's a guy that you could trade and kind of slip in, hey, let me fill your need with a similar guy. And let me take this underperforming guy. Let me throw you another guy or two, too, to do this. 2-for-1, 3-for-1 trades always are in my favor. What does that mean for me? I got rid of 3 guys that are overperforming or 3 guys that I generally was considering cutting, turn them into a trade, freed up, and now I can go pick up two guys. It's always great. I never steer away from it ever, especially when I'm selling high and I'm buying low on a player. So you got to do it. And I think you can definitely move him. He just has a name that people just love to like gravitate to. And you know what? Like I said, I'm going to catch flack for it for a reason. But let's move on. So about Brendan Donovan, another name that I swear I've caught so many negative comments last year about talking about how we should move on. We should really not, spend time on him. I don't think he's got it, and he doesn't. I'm sorry, but he's a guilty pleasure for a lot of fantasy owners, and it's time to sell. Again, 90 at bats, 14 runs, 7 doubles, 3 bombs, 13 ribs, 3 stolen bases, and batted 356. Look, he had a great start last year, a great start, and he still only finished with 14 home runs, 73 ribs, 5 stolen bases, and batted a 278 with 65 runs. I think that's exactly what he does this year. So what are we doing? We're selling high. We're definitely selling high. Look, he is a guilty pleasure for a lot of fantasy baseball names. He came up in a pinch and he handled business. Wish you got more out of him. Let's see if he can do it. He's hot right now. There's all these things, but we're also forgetting. Look, he's also 28 years old, and we're still waiting on that breakout. Time to sell. Time to sell right now. Do it. Because I promise you're going to be able to go out and get a better name for Brendan Donovan. Now, he's not going to be a 1-for-1 deal. Don't get me twisted. It's never going to be a 1-for-1 deal with any of these guys. It's going to be a multiple guy deal, but you can totally put him in there as a finishing touch. And don't stray away from keeping him from trading him, because he's not going to have long-term value. So just move him. Move him now. Let's move on. Let's talk about Pete Crow-Armstrong of the Chicago Cubs. Now, if you watch the show, you know that I'm a fan. But Pete Crow-Armstrong, I look at it like this. If I could trade him and mix him into a mix of a trade where it's 2-for-1, and I can go get a proven stud like any of the guys I named earlier in the show, and in return, that's kind of underperforming at the moment, and then turn Pete Crow-Armstrong into that, yeah, I'm going to do that, because you don't know what his finish is going to look like, but you can picture what the guy you're trading for is. And that's the key part, right? I'd rather have the bona fide stud underperforming at the moment that I think will have a better finish than the guy I'm trading. And that's kind of the key part. Pete Crow-Armstrong could be absolutely incredible. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think power is legitimate. I think he can have 20 to 25 home runs. I think the stolen base upside is outrageous. Batting average, I think, could be there. The runs on that team could be there. The ribbies are what's limited based off of where he's hitting in the lineup. But if he can get higher in that lineup, dude, the sky's the limit for him. But the thing is, a lot of things have to fall into place this year for Pete Crow-Armstrong to outperform anybody that I said to trade for. So move him. Take advantage of it. He's having an incredible season so far. Let's look at that, right? Like, so far on the season, he is. So I'm on the wrong one. Here we go. He is 93 at bats, 18 runs, 8 doubles, a triple, 3 bombs, 10 ribs, 8 stolen bases, batting 258. The batting average really hasn't shown up yet, but it's coming. Look, he's still young. He's still going to struggle a little bit, but I think that that's going to come to a head too, where he starts showing off his plate discipline. He starts showing off that batting average. But I'm not mad at 258. It's nearly 260. 265 would be phenomenal for a season ending. You know, three home runs so far on the season. The pace is decent. Probably right on pace if you really think about it, with 93. Make him have like 500 and change, right? So 3, 6, 5, 10, 15, 20 home runs. That's mint. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get that. And I think that we could see where this journey takes us. I think with that team, with everything else, Pete Crow-Armstrong could have. And this is the conversation you're having with them. Now, if I could trade up and get a Jared Duran, if I can trade up and get a Yordan Alvarez or a Mookie Betts for him, if a guy is struggling in stolen bases and average and et cetera, or just struggling because they're there, I'm going to offer him and something else. But it's not going to be just him. It's going to be him and something else. And if you're in a newbie league or you got a guy that you can take advantage of, then yeah, send a horrendous trade and see if you can take advantage. That's always, I'm never against taking advantage of a poor player. Let them get informed the next year and teach them a lesson that, hey, this is why I got to show up prepared. So do it and deal with the tilt. Trade him now. Let's talk about this another Cub here. Seiya Suzuki, our last guy, Super Saiyan himself. Seiya is performing, and he's a good name. 30 years old, finally really doing it, in my opinion. 82 runs, 13 82 at bats, 13 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 6 bombs, 18 ribs, a stolen base, and 11 walks to 26 strikeouts, batting 268 on the season. Look, batting average is legit. I think that he's going to have like a 280 batting average. The problem is the power. This pace is absolutely unsustainable for him. The ribbies are looking like it could be better because of where he's hitting in the lineup. The runs could be better because I like Tucker and the other guys' additions with Bush and P. Crow on the team. But I think that right now is the perfect time to trade. I mean, 6 home runs in this short stint, batting 268. Yeah, this is the perfect time to sell high. He's not going to do this all year long. This pace is unsustainable for him. So sell high and upgrade. Look, he has name clout too, so, like, use that. If you could trade Seiya for anything that is a good upgrade, do it, because I promise at the end of the day, your team is gonna be better for it. He's not going to have the full season, we call it pace, that keep the full season pace, and that's all that matters. So trade now and sell high. He's the epitome of selling high. An overperforming guy that you think is probably gonna teeter off a little bit, perfect. Trade Seiya Suzuki now, and, let's go from there. Guys, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching the show. I love having you. Please share, like, subscribe, everything you can to share the show. We truly appreciate it. When you're done, check out our MLB show going on. You get all these kinds of inputs for every night, every game. It's really wonderful. They're doing a great job over there. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, guys. Peace out.